Jackson, Tennessee, get ready to kick your summer off with a laugh as Highland Avenue Comedy brings the funny to Hub City Brewing Company June 6th at 8 p.m. Get ready for a night of nonstop laughs with some of the best comedians around. Whether you're out with friends or planning the perfect date night, you don't want to miss this show. Tickets are only $10, and you can get yours now at HubCityEvents.com and come enjoy some great drinks, great vibes, and even better comedy. Highland Avenue Comedy at Hub City Brewing Company June 6th at 8 p.m. Be there!
To Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Another big episode this week, guys. We've been sent a bunch of questions we're going to ask you about. But before we get to that, how's your week been?
Man, Gene, my week has been great. Me and Tommy had a great last weekend. We was in St. Louis, and, man, that was super cool. We met I saw a lot of guys I hadn't seen for a long time. Saw Bill DeMott and got to catch up with him. Saw a lot of great guys that I hadn't seen and everything. And, man, we had a big time. Me and Tommy talked to a lot of different people, and we seen a lot of great fans. Tommy, we had a big time in St. Louis, didn't we?
Oh, man, yeah. I mean, it was real good. And just going up to, I mean, the thing was right outside of St. Louis in Fairview Heights, Illinois. But, we flew into St. Louis. Well, Dougie stayed in St. Louis, just seeing those, just going back to St. Louis and the memories and all of that was cool. And then, like Dougie said, we got to see, I was on the plane with JBL flying up. Man, what a character he is. But, yeah, he's a cool cat, though. Yeah, I seen this boy. He was asleep in the fire exit. And I thought, dang, that's JBL. But he was asleep, so I didn't want to say nothing. Then I seen him put that cowboy hat on. And I said, hey, Layfield. And then finally he looked around. He said, Tommy. Yeah, but it was cool, man.
Did he wrestle? I thought I seen a picture of him with his big cowboy boots on, clotheslining somebody.
Yeah, he did. He wrestled. Remember I told you, Gene, he was going to be in a match. He was in a match. Me and Tommy was in a match. It would have been a good card. Teddy Long put all that together. It helped Herb and everything. Oh, Theodore.
I hated to been that boy JBL wrestle. I mean, he beat him to a pulp, and they had to carry him to the hospital. And JBL don't play now.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cool. Like Tommy said, to see JBL, it was cool. To see Teddy Long, it was cool. Like I said, to see Bill DeMont, I hadn't seen him in some years, and I just tell Tommy.
Bill Eady, Barry Darsow, Barb, and Warlord. Shoot, there was a lot of different folks there.
Sure was.
That's cool. You seen Bill DeMott because he's kind of the answer to a trivia question about ECW and the Dark Patriot that not everybody realizes, I don't think.
Yeah, that's cool. And like I said, it's been some years since I seen Bill. We just sat down and laughed and talked about some old stories and called up. But he's a really, if people don't know Bill or hadn't got to know him like I did, Bill is a great guy.
Well, that's cool. I don't always hear of him being at those things, so that's great that he was there and you guys got to hang out with him. We got any other upcoming dates we need to plug here on the front end?
Well, I'd like to give a big shout out to Glory Days. They brought us in and sponsored us, and I'd like to give a big shout out to them and John, just all of them that work there, because there's a lot of folks that work there to make a lot of stuff happen, and really appreciate them. And so looking forward to seeing them again soon. And seeing Herb. Herb's the same Herb as he was 50 years ago, I reckon. But some things never change, and sometimes that's a good thing. So, just a big shout out to all the wrestling fans that came out and seen it. I mean, it was strictly old school, man. And we had a blast, like Dougie said too. We just got to meet a lot of guys you never see anymore. Bill Eady, Barry Darsow. Shoot, there was a bunch of them.
And Gene, the cool thing, there was a lot of people at the signing, and the wrestling matches was full. I mean, I didn't see a seat that there wasn't somebody sitting in. I mean, it was literally, I don't want to say this swinging from the rafters, but
they was hanging from the rafters. I was going to say that.
Yeah, but it actually, the big room, it was full of people during the wrestling. I thought that was real cool and everything. But you asked about different things. This actually tomorrow, Tommy will be in Parsippany. Is that how you say it, Tommy?
Parsippany, the 16th is when it is. I fly out tomorrow, and it's Saturday. It's Saturday.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. This weekend, Tommy's in Parsippany, New Jersey. I think it's called the 80s Con, right, Tommy?
Yeah, the 80s Con. That's another old school one that, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the guys we didn't see up in Fairview, So that's a big one too.
And everything. And then we jump from that, and I think the next thing I have down is at Shawneetown, Illinois on June the 6th, and then Ashland City on July the 18th in Ashland City, Tennessee. Myself, Road Dogg will be there. And then me and Tommy, the Memphis Mafia, will be August the 7th, Ripley, Tennessee, August the 8th, Paragould, Arkansas. And the Memphis Mafia will be August the 29th in Marion, Arkansas. And like I said to you before, Gene, I think me and Tommy will probably be in Memphis on the 28th doing a signing, but we got to figure out where that's going to be at and everything. And then we got September the 30th, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Myself, the King, Jerry Lawler will be there. It's at a fair, and it's a little meet and greet deal we're doing before the show and everything. That'll be really cool. Then October 31st, Pulaski, Tennessee, I'll be doing a signing on what I say, 10/31. That would be Halloween, right, Jim?
Halloween Saturday. That's right. That'll be the Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that's the Freddy Krueger signing. That'd be cool.
So everybody's looking forward to that. So there you go, folks. Make your plans, and if you have any questions about any of those, there you can check the Facebook page, and those will be posted there as well.
Hey, and if you like to be scared, I guarantee you, when I seen Freddy Krueger in Japan, he scared the socks off of me. So, if your kids ain't acting right and you want them scared straight, just bring them to see Freddy Krueger.
That's right. I heard they wanted you there, Tommy, and you said, no, you weren't going to have no part of that. You weren't going to be around Freddy.
They wanted me to be the scarecrow.
Want him to be the Tin Man. He said he wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I need a little oil on my knees and stuff. Maybe that's my parts, the Tin Man.
There you go.
Well, all right. Well, we've got some questions. We got a couple that were from before that we'll start with, and then we'll go through the ones we've gotten throughout this past week or so. So if you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and ask you this first one. Macho Madness 88 asks, after everything you've seen, done, won, survived, and probably gotten blamed for, what do you hope people remember most about you when they hear your name?
Well, I'll start, Gene. I think one of the things I'd like for everybody to think, I think me and Tommy probably think a lot around the same about this, which Tommy's probably got a little longer answer than I do, but I'd like for everybody to think that if they watched us and everything that you've seen, done, won, survived, I think always working hard. I think as far as a good work ethic would be one that I would like to think people would think. And I think taking pride in what we've done would be good. And I'd like to think I've done my the Gilbert name proud as far as in the wrestling business. And there's just a ton more things, Gene, but that's what I would start with.
Tommy?
Say that to me one more time, please.
Okay. It's it's kind of a long, wordy question there. It says, after everything you've seen, done, won, survived, and probably gotten blamed for, what do you hope people remember most when they hear your name? So essentially just kind of, as you move along, when people hear the name Tommy Rich, what do you hope they remember about you?
that he's still living in the fast lane at his age. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know, I mean, it's like you said. I mean, we reached a lot of accolades in this business, and most of it, I mean, you know, that's kind of like that question. You know, what would you change if you could go back in time? First off, we can't go back in time, and second off, I know there's a couple of things I might should change, but the good weighs more than the bad for me. So I mean, you know, I mean, me and Dougie's accomplished a lot together as a team. He went to Japan, booked. I mean, so he's done a heck of a job, and I'm sure at times we pissed a couple of people off in our day, and I apologize for that. But when we're bad guys, though, you know, that was our job anyway. So if they still mad, that means we really did our job good. So, you know, I might regret not being home with my kids all as much as I should have been. And Dougie, I mean, he did about face when he was a youngster. I don't think he was really making that Gilbert. He was running around. but hey, after he got the business, man, he straightened up, and you know, they couldn't be no more proud of him, I don't think.
And I mean, as far as like what he said, and probably what we got blamed for. Now the odds are, Gene, which I can speak for Tommy a little bit, but I don't want to say it. And probably what we got blamed for, we probably did good parts of that. There might be a part here or there that we didn't do, but we probably did what we got blamed for, plus a little bit. But sometimes there was a little bit added to what we got blamed for also. Now I ain't saying we didn't do probably a lot that we might not should have, but then you know, to that story, what's happened, you know, that always stuff gets added to that. So that kind of goes a little bit close.
And I'll tell you something else. We've just let some heat ride on us before to keep somebody else from getting in trouble.
That's true.
Because we're always the ones going to be in trouble anyway. So, you know, I mean, so we work good.
I got you. Yeah, that's solid answers right there. The original intern. This is one of them wannabe interns, guys. This is the original here asking this. What's the average person's biggest misconceptions about wrestlers and the wrestling business?
Okay.
What I don't. The biggest misconception.
Yeah, so like I don't know that like people who, you know, misconceptions that they're all friends or none of that stuff hurts. That ring's soft, you know, those types of things that people think they know.
Now, I'll have to admit, back in the day, we kayfabed. If we had friends, we'd go to their house or something. We wasn't seen out in public. You know, we still had the mystique and the kayfabe to the business, and I mean, some of us run together, but we never made no trips. You know, very seldom, unless we got backed in the corner. Somebody had to have a ride, then we might be in on it. But you know, I mean, and like everybody thinks wrestlers drink and do this and that, and I'm not saying I didn't, because I probably did all of it. But there's a lot of guys in the business that didn't fool none of it. So I think that's kind of, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover, you know, just because you're a wrestler and whatever, you know, it don't mean you're out running the roads.
You know what I would probably point at first, Gene, that most people wouldn't think about?
What's that?
It would be how much myself, Tommy, or I would think any one of the guys, how much you have to trust your opponents, as far as how much trust you would put in your opponents, for as far as, you know, it's so easy for any of us to get injured. I don't think fans or anybody else, as far as looks at things like that, and if you get injured in the days where, even like me and Tommy was under contracts and guarantees, they would kind of take care of us. But like the days before them, like Tommy's talked about, you had to work. Well, if you was injured, there's no money. If, you know, like I said, we was under guarantees and contracts and took care of pretty well, but still during, like Tommy's talked about the early days, and then you go from that, from as far as trying to, you know, what you would trust and everything, to you look at the promoters, and I don't want to say that there was all like this, but how many shady promoters, Gene, do you think me and Tommy might have had to work with? Now, we had to, everybody thinks we got took care of so well. What about when you go back and the freaking promoter's gone or something, and you hadn't even got paid for just, I'm saying, like some independent stuff or something? Yeah. And then that goes back to the point where fans think that wrestlers are taken care of so much. Well, if you're having to deal with, I ain't saying all, but I'm saying here and there, a shady person, fans don't see that part of it. And and I think they see, and you can understand what I'm saying, Gene, about as far as trusting somebody and somebody being good, and as far as not hurting you, which the whole thing about that is we always want, and many times I still want to think this, we want to think can't nobody hurt us, or, we want to think we're invincible or whatever, which we're not. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Does that kind of give you a kind of leeway into what you think the guy was talking about? And
it's all, and also too, it's like Doug was talking about earlier about that ring. I mean, a lot of fans, they think, oh, it's got padding on it, or it's got bounce to it, or, all I can say is go out there and get thrown around for 15, 20 minutes, go 30 and get thrown around, body slam, backdrop, suplex, and tell me, not even considering the wrestling part, that don't just wear your tail out.
Yeah. Go out there and take one of them power bombs from Sid, or that big, razor's edge move, Tommy, that Scott Hall gave you, when he was the diamond stud. I remember seeing that recently, or he had it up in the air and drops you. I mean, that stuff hurts, folks. I don't know how else to tell you.
Well, I took an insurance policy out on that with Scott Hall.
I hope so. I sure hope so. Hey, that one follow-up question there, Doug, because I don't know when we'll get back to this, and I've always kind of thought about this. When you talk about trusting your opponent, and
right,
I feel like that's probably a big factor when you go to Japan, and you especially like the first couple of times, you don't really know all these guys. You got the language barrier there. Is that more of a concern there, even more so than here, because you don't necessarily know everybody's reputation? Or
well, I would say so, Gene, but the only difference between this was the first piece of advice my dad and my brother and the guys that had been over there before told me when I went the first time. They said, Doug, you'll be fine. Said, but just remember this: whatever they do to you, you do back rougher to them. So we don't care what you think, however anybody lays anything and does whatever, you just make sure that you hit them harder than they can ever hit you. So that's the difference in the styles and logic. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, you don't know the guys, but here's the thing. After you do that for 3 or 4 nights or a week, you're on a month tour or whatever, and you do that the first couple of weeks, well, believe me, they aren't. I mean, if they're tough as us, they are. And if they're tougher, they don't want to take a beating for a month to 5 weeks straight. I mean, it hurts them just like it hurts us. So, no, I didn't know a soul when I first went over there. But the thing about it, after a couple of weeks, you beating on each other for a couple of weeks. Believe me, they don't want it no more than we do. Now, they say that the strong style, Japanese strong style is where that started and everything. But believe me, don't anybody, I mean, yeah, you can be stiff and snug and whatever, but as far as just you actually literally almost fighting with them per night, they get tired of it too. So they're going to back off a little bit. But it's all, they always told me it was a warrior mentality. As far as if they say you got a strong heart, that means you're a strong fighter. If you got a good heart, you're a strong fighter. But the whole thing, you got to show them and earn their respect. And that was one of the things. And then I got to know them and everything. And, it helps when you, like I said, they don't want to get beat up no more than we do.
Yeah,
which, they was just doing what they was taught.
And the thing is too, though, is that Bruce Brody's Stan Hansen told me this: is that if you let them whip you, then they gonna whip you every night. He said the first time they hit you wrong, then you hit them back. And but of course, back then I didn't really have no problem anyway. But yeah, it was different. I mean, if you let them whip on you, then they'd whip. But if you give it to them back, like Dougie said, they'd back on off and want to work then.
That makes sense. So this is This is the kind of nerdy question I find interesting. I don't know if Doug will have an answer to this or not, but I kind of smiled when I saw it come in. Philip Nash asks, Doug, when WCW put out his very first video game for the Nintendo in 1990, your brother Eddie was one of the characters included in the video game. Growing up such a big fan of wrestling, were things like this cool to Eddie, and did he feel like it was an accomplishment, or was he just too busy to really think about that sort of thing? And what did you think about it at the time?
Gene, Eddie knew about it, and you're going to laugh. They give us 3 or 4 copies of the tape and everything. And, I was more of a game type dude than Eddie was, but Eddie knew about it, but I probably thought it was cooler than he did, which, I think he thought it was cool. He was on there, which he showed it to me. He was the one that they give him to, and he brought him home, and he pitched me like a couple, and he had a couple that he just kept. And he never opened his. I opened mine. I want to see what it was like.
Right.
I played it and stuff. But you'll pop and if you got a game or you see it anywhere, Gene, now it's just it's almost like the little square men, kind of running. Yeah. And they do a few moves and everything. But like I said, they gave us a couple, and Eddie knew about it. But during that time with him, his job being in the office and everything at WCW and everything, it was, like I said, to me, I think it was cooler to me. He liked it and everything, but as far as being cool and me playing things, I thought it was really neat.
Yeah, I got it when it first came out because, it had that cool box with the Road Warriors on the front. And I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be great. And then you get it in the gameplay. You play it for about an hour, and you're like, all right, this isn't great. But for me, to have like a Memphis guy that I had seen in person on a video game, I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Well, that was me. I just thought it was cool. I thought, well, my brother's on here, and it's neat. It's a wrestling game. It's cool and everything. And like I said, I think he thought it was cool, but he just didn't look at it like, say, me and you did.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Brian Davis. We got, like I said, we got some kind of nerd. No offense to the listeners, but these are kind of some quit nerdier questions.
Quit talking about my fans, Gene.
Brian Davis asks, what was your favorite gear you ever wore, and who was your favorite gear maker?
What? You know what? Some of my favorites, and you're going to laugh because you and Tommy was just talking about this last week. I had a couple, and when I got started, Jan from Evansville, she made a couple, and I really liked those. But what I really liked about the different stuff that I wore and that we had made, me and Tommy had some stuff made, but I like the stuff that were different, like, as far as the print type tights that nobody else, everybody else had their color. They on yellow or pink or you know what I'm saying? Somebody had like trademark colors, but like I had a lot made, and Tommy did too when me and him was together, but it was like the print, you know what I'm saying? The print, like the different colors and designs, but it was like nobody else had them. So that really, it didn't look like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It was different, like I said. And that Jan in Evansville, then we had a lady named Kathy, and she lived right across the line in Mississippi, right outside of Memphis. And she was real good. And I would every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd get her to bring me a couple pairs, and Tommy would get a couple pairs, and Brian would get this Kathy to make him a couple pairs. But those would be my 2 favorite. But it was just different looks, not to look like anybody else, but just like off print looking. Tommy, remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And I was thinking back, and before it got flashy, which I don't even really remember nowhere when I first started that you could get it. I didn't know nobody.
K&H.
Carl Hildegard. It was plain Jane stuff. They had a couple of jackets that was glittery, but they wasn't what I like anyway. Yeah. But Jan, she was real good. Wrestling 2's wife, Olivia, she made me that Elvis looking jacket. And I really like, that's one of my favorites right there. But Jan, she made a lot for me too.
Did you hang on to a lot of that stuff? I've been supposed to ask you for 2 weeks now, Tommy. There's a fan that sent an email into the address we give here every week, and was interested in seeing if you had any of that gear left over. He might want to buy some of it signed. So We can talk about that off air as far as getting you set up with them, get you where you can talk to them if you do have anything that you kept like that. But I keep forgetting it every week. So since gear came up, I'm like, well, I'll remember it this week at least.
Tommy's got everything he ever had. He's got a whole room full of everything.
We'll have to get him to model some of those jackets one of these days, man. That he has.
Yeah, he's back down to that dang 1982 weight now. He can put all of them back on.
He's gonna be sporting all the different looks that Wildfire had over the years.
Elvis, you have that Elvis
They
on.
fall apart going to the ring. They so old.
Arms will fall off.
No, I remember some of that gear you were talking about. I always thought that was cool when you and Tommy had like the matching stuff and those prints and different things like that. That they all had the same matching gear.
And Tommy's fixing to laugh at me, but you know what I thought was really cool, Gene? That he gave me a pair of. He gave me those. You remember when they had those York Foundation tights made? I liked them before. They reminded me kind of biker looking. They had it was like chaps, but they had the snake skin underneath them.
And kind of the fringe on the side.
Yeah, I didn't much like the fringe, but I liked the chap looking and the snake skin. He gave me he had some black ones and some red ones. And I think he gave me the pair of red ones, and I wore them a lot. But I actually liked them. Like I said, I wasn't a big fringe fan, but I liked how the leather, that whatever leather looking stuff was on them, and the snake skin.
Pleather. It's called pleather.
I think so. We just say leather. It sounds better.
The technical term is pleather. Tommy said that's what I liked when Tommy joined the York Foundation and he got those outfits. It made him look different. It made Tommy Rich stand out because Ricky Morton just slicked his hair back in a ponytail, and that was it. He still wore his rock and roll gear out there. He had the bandanas and all of that on. And I like that Tommy changed it up.
That fringe was Ricky's idea anyway.
That fringe was?
Yeah, that checks out. I would think so. All right, so there you go, Brian. I do remember you sold some of those tights to Danny Morris was rocking those for years, Doug, the singlets and the long tights, and then
anything back then that I was done with, I'd about give it away. If we knew that today, we'd have kept everything.
Yeah, you see what these folks are paying for that stuff. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, like, man, I would have kept all that gear if I'd have known,
I give Reggie B. Fine probably $50,000 worth of tights for what people buys them for now. Didn't think a thing about it.
And Reggie probably had them sold before he got to his car that night.
Reggie said, man, he'd ask me about every 2 weeks, man, you got anything you ain't going to wear? And I just pitch him different sets out of my bag.
Well, and after Dougie and the King become friends, Dougie got him a couple of pairs too.
Oh yeah, I used to anything Lawler didn't like, he would just throw to me.
Yeah, he got a lot of tights from him. Yeah, but that's cool. I mean, because like you said, we didn't. I mean, I wish we had them now, but.
Can you imagine how many pairs of tights Lawler had over the years? Like, I seen a video somebody put up where they were at Lawler's house, and he still has. I mean, I know he gave a bunch away, but he still had a ton of those capes and the different jackets and robes and all these different tights. And I thought, my God, he probably. I mean, there's no telling how many he had throughout all those years.
He just
how much it's worth either.
Yeah,
he just throwed one day, Gene, a bag. I said, "Here, give me a pair too." And he got a garbage bag, and he filled the garbage bag up with tights. But I mean, wow. And that wasn't. I mean, that wasn't nothing. I mean, compared to all of this stuff, I'm just talking about tights, long tights that he just didn't. That he didn't think he liked, or he said wasn't for him, or something. He just threw them in the bag. And like I said, I'd wear them and put just a short pair of tights over them. Mine, that was, like Tommy said, that was awful nice of him, but he was pretty cool too.
Some of the shows we review, we're getting to that moment in time where he started wearing all the neon colors, like around late 91, 92. I figured those got thrown to you or somebody because you didn't see those stick around for very long.
Yeah, they did. That he said that wasn't him. So, but like I said, I got a bag full of them at different times. I mean, he just fix up a bag and say, "Here, take these." Yeah,
he looked like he was ready to be a dynamic dude there with a couple of those neon get-ups he had.
Yeah, he had those tights and then that jacket that matched neon. I saw that one time and I thought, huh.
So our next question, Mike Needham asks, one car ride with anyone from any era, who would you pick to ride with and what would you ask them? So this could be even people that weren't around, that were from a previous era that had maybe passed on, or just any wrestler. I don't guess it even has to be a wrestler the way you worded the question. Just anybody you take a car ride with.
You know who I mean, there's a ton of people that you could say this, but you know one that I think would be really cool as far as if you wanted to just philosophy and psychology and stuff, as far as just riding in the car talking to, if you're just having an open conversation and you can talk to him about whatever. I think Nick Bockwinkel would be one that would be really cool. And I'm going to tell you that then there's one other one, and y'all going to laugh, but now there's a bunch of people I think would be really cool to do this with.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that name come to my mind, and so did, and I don't know how this one just come with Bockwinkel, but Jack Briscoe.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
that was great.
I mean, I guess what I was saying as far as wrestling guys that psychology and chemistry, and they knew everything about it. To me, it always looked like they knew everything about what they was doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Dory Funk Jr. I love Terry Funk. There's a ton of other guys at school, but I got to ride with Terry and Dory. I didn't with Bockwinkel and Jack Briscoe, but it was just, to me, Tommy, about it. But there's a lot of cool people from around here that would be good too. Tommy, what would you say about that?
Well, to get the knowledge and I'd be saying slow down and stuff, but to get the knowledge and stuff, I would say Harley race. I mean, 'cause to me, like I say, Flair, he'll have the same match with all three of us, where Harley, he would work your style, Gene's style, or my style. I mean, he was a good general in the ring, and he was a good time to be around. I heard a couple of stories, and I enjoyed, just picking his ear about the business. And of course, like I said, he pushed me one night. Well, it was coming back from Augusta. He pushed me. I was doing about 85 or something, and he pushed me up to 90. I'd be hollering, stop, if I'd have been with him. But as far as the knowledge, and I think as far as a good time, I'd have to say the one, the only, the fabulous Jackie Fargo, man. I mean, you talk about when him and Don Fargo was together, I heard stories, and just Jackie was really cool. He was fun to be around because I was around Jackie some too.
Yeah.
As far as having a good time, and I would say Jackie, and which Jackie was real smart about the business too. I mean, shoot, he took a gimmick and got it over big time.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all great picks. Yeah, to your point there, like Tommy, I've heard a lot of people say that knew him and rode with him. They said that the good Lord must have loved Harley race, that's the only way that he didn't have 1,000 car crashes as fast as he drove everywhere and as much as he drove and for long as he did, that it's an absolute miracle. And I know he did have a few accidents here and there, but
Gene, you know what one of Tommy's favorite saying is, don't you?
What's that?
The good Lord takes care of babies and fools.
There you go.
Roddy Piper taught me that one.
Wise man.
Piper, man. Yeah.
Did you ride with him, Tommy?
I'll tell you what, of course, I've been with Roddy too, but he was a lot of fun to be around.
I bet. He seemed like he would be.
Maybe too much sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
Oh, Roddy and Johnny and Brad had a good ride one night, didn't you, Tommy?
With Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming down that mountain in West Virginia. we was coming down from Williamson, West Virginia. Well, first off, it wasn't but one store. We stopped, was coming out with our Cokes and beer, our Coca-Colas, water and stuff. And anyway, Buzz Sawyer pulled in. Some guy got in his face, and Buzz took and suplexed him out there in the pavement. Just suplexed the boy. We might have took a little medication, or we might not have right then. And we was coming down that mountain. Brad, my cousin Johnny was in the back, and we coming down that mountain, and the tail end was meeting the front end coming down that mountain. Brad Armstrong said, Tommy, tell him to let you drive. I said, you tell him to let you drive. He ain't going to let either one of us drive. If you ask him, if he wants you to drive, he'll tell you. Anyway, we went around the curve, and that thing went whoop, front end, back end, come around again. And we start through the next curve. And Piper going pretty fast. Anyway, there's a little field, like a little community center was on the left-hand side. And we coming down through there. And, well, first, he had to swerve. They had one of the big orange caution signs. We slid through it because he didn't make that curve. Brad's crying then. He said, tell him. I said, Brad, he ain't going to let none of us drive. Anyway, he backed it up and laughed, and he took off. We ain't gone 200 yards. And there's a black kid over sitting on the steps there at that community center. He said, Piper, we went to that next curve. There was a big bridge there. And Piper, we didn't have to worry about hitting it because Piper didn't make that turn either. And there was a big ravine like where a creek was running through, but it was like 15-foot drop off. And we didn't make that turn. There were 2 sets of railroad tracks there. It's the only thing that saved. We hit them tracks, boom, boom, popped the tires, and anyway, we had a styrofoam cooler because that's what you bought back then.
Yeah.
Anyway, my arm hit it, busted, went everywhere, and looked up. Front end was hanging off. The front 2 wheels was hanging off the ravine, and we're like in a movie. We're leaning back where we won't go over. So we get out of the truck. It's a little bitty coal mine town, and you could hear the sirens coming. And all of a sudden, that black kid, he come. He said, "Woo, I knew y'all was gonna wreck. I knew y'all was." He said, "Roddy Piper, Tommy Rich." He said, "I knew y'all was gonna wreck." And them old country folk come out, pulled the car, and busted 3 tires. Pulled the car back behind the little row of it's like a Knight's Inn, but it's little apartments, I guess. But pulled us back there, and we had 1 spare tire, and they got us 2 other ones. And one wasn't the right size, and that car. Plus, it messed that car up pretty good too. So we limped it on in. It was like a car, the Shriner's car with big wheel, and we limped on in, and we dropped it off at the airport. And back then you just dropped your keys in the drop box because we left early. And about 2 weeks later, Johnny said, "Look at here." Because the car was in Johnny's name, and did $1,800 worth of damage, and Ole was taking the money out of Johnny's check. He told me, I said, "Well, I don't know what to tell you." And so anyway, Piper said something, and anyway, Piper went and told Ole. He said, "Take it out of my check. I'm the one that wrecked it." And but Piper, you always had a good story if you was Piper.
Wow. Can you imagine how many times that kid told that story over the years?
Oh, Lord.
He saw Roddy Piper and Tommy Rich almost bite it.
And Piper had to fight him, get him to take $100 to people to give him the tires and everything, give us the tires. Yeah. They said, "No, we don't want your money." He said, "We don't want," and Piper said, "No, you're going to take it because you got to buy a new tire." So anyway, he took the money and we limped it on into Charleston.
Wow. Wow, good. That's good stuff. I mean, it's scary.
The road stories would be that's actually a reality show right there.
Yeah, and I mean, something else that was said earlier. God can't protect all the fools because anybody foolish enough to get in Buzz Sawyer's face out in public and think that they weren't going to get suplex on the comment page. Good Lord.
Tells you what kind of animal he was. I hate suplexing somebody in the ring. It hurts me about as bad as it does them. I can't even imagine out there on that page.
Gene, but you think just like Tommy was saying, just funny stuff. Like me and Tommy left Memphis, left the Coliseum. We got down around right before Brownsville. It was snowing this night, and we pulled off on the side of the road. We just had to take a leak, and we pulled off on the side of the road, and we both took leaks. Well, all of a sudden we looked, and just of all things, here comes the car through the median. They turn the blue lights on, and they're going slow, and they get stuck. So it's state trooper, right? Me and Tommy are both on the side of the road taking leaks. So we get back in.
Turned around after we seen he was stuck and mooned him, took off.
we, we get in the car. I look at Tommy. I said, we got to go, don't we? Tommy started laughing. We went to the exit and we got off there and went in the store. We got like we were shopping in this little convenience store. You would have laughed, Gene. I told Tommy, I said, we something else, ain't we? But just funny, just little stuff like that. Some of the funny stuff.
And that policeman, he wasn't getting out of that hole he was stuck in anyway. He probably still there.
Oh my gosh. So the next question is from Boston Idol. I think we've got a question from him before, actually. That name rings a bell. Boston Idol. He asks, why the electrical tape instead of the athletic tape? So that's 2 times you've been questioning about the electrical tape. Before, about just the sheer amount of it. This person wants to know why one over the other.
Well, I think, Gene, it was a different look than what everybody else had. I mean, and 2, what people don't realize, it's strong. Like I said, I like the look of it, and I liked it better than everybody else. Had the exact same white electric or white sports tape, and I mean, and then I think Tommy started wearing it a little bit because I was the only one had any. But
yeah, because I'd run out of tape. I was that guy that when I first started, I bought my tape, but toward the latter days, I would. I'd say, dang, I didn't bring my tape. Hey, can I borrow some tape? I didn't really care if it was white or black, athletic or because I was a pretty good electrician. So, if anybody needed to wear it, it should have been me. But, but Dougie, I don't know. It was cheaper than the white tape, too. But as much as Dougie used, I think he probably spent more on his electric tape than we did on the white tape.
But, you know what was cool about it, too, Gino? You could use it as gimmick type stuff to choke people, like to me the white tape, it wasn't good like that, and it wasn't strong. It kind of tear, but the electrical tape was strong. And to me, I thought it was cool. Like I said, everybody else had the same stuff on. It was white sports tape and everything, but the electrical tape I just thought was cool.
Well, and it made an impression because there's at least two people in the world now, all these years later, that was like, I want to know about that electrical tape. So it was memorable for somebody. So that's good too.
Hey, and it kept Doug from shorting out too.
That's right.
That's
right. Felicia Moore asked, this may be the first female that has ever sent us a question. I assume Felicia would be a female, but Felicia Moore asks, what's your all-time proudest moment in the business?
I would say, Gene, there's so many. I don't know how Tommy's going to pick one. I'd say anytime I was in the ring with my dad or brother, I was really proud just to be working like in the ring with them and to kind of be a unit with them. And it was a real cool thing for me with my family, same as when I went with Tommy that time. The Cauliflower Alley Club deal, the Family Award deal in Vegas, I really, I got to go there with my mom and dad, and that was really cool with me. And then I got to actually give Tommy an award, present him an award out there, and I thought that was really cool too. I really enjoyed getting to do that, and I thought Tommy deserved it as much or more than anybody.
For me, the last battle of Atlanta with Buzz Sawyer, man, or hiding under the ring, or when Abdullah when I first went to Atlanta, Abdullah beat me in 30 seconds. He told me, he said, hey, kid, I'm going to give it back to you one day. And I thought, oh, yeah. And about a year or so later, Wahoo McDaniels had only got my foot. Wahoo didn't show up. I wrestled him, picked him up, slammed him, and that building went crazy. And he put me over the top. So that beat when I won the match with Harley Race to win the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
USWA, Doug and me being together because, we're just, we grew up almost together because they was coming to the wrestling, and even before I started wrestling, I'd go to some shows with Eddie and Doug, or Eddie might be there, or maybe both of them, And then I guess the biggest one, though, is like seeing our moms, come out there and like we talked before about it. The payday was nice, I guess. But the only reason they did it was for our benefit. If they thought it would help us, they would do it. And they done such a good job doing it. It came from the heart. because it's like people tell you, how did she know what to say? I said, she couldn't have memorized that. It just came from the heart. So that made me proud too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely, I mean, you definitely got to be proud to be the youngest person to ever win the NWA world title at the time and to beat Harley Race. And we've said this before, at a time when being NWA world champion meant everything. You know, I mean, there's people could win it at 12 now, but it really wouldn't mean as much because it's not necessarily the same title it was then. So,
and you know, Gene, like Tommy said before, people that didn't, you know, and 99% of people didn't get to know Harley Race as far as Harley itself, but like in his latter years, I worked a lot up north. I say in the later 90s, early 2000s, and they'd have Harley on there managing, and I got to interact with him a little bit then. And man, you talking about a cool, hip guy that was just smart. I mean, just as far as business wise, just a smart, tough dude. And I talked to him a few times. One night, I got head busted open a little bit, and we was talking, and he was talking low, and I was leaning over, and I got up and I walked over by him, and I sat down beside him. And when I did, he went like this and popped me right where I busted, and blood started running. We was in a restaurant, and he thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And all I could do was laugh and grab my head. But I thought, damn, this is a tough cat.
Oh, and I was talking about what a ring general he was inside the wrestling ring. Hey, you talk about a ring general that you want on your side if you're in a bar fight. He knocked you out, like Dougie said. He popped him like that, and he's bleeding. I see one time I seen him. I'd heard the stories, and I seen him knock one out. I mean, just like that, he went down. So.
Wow.
But and the funny thing, he looked at me when I grabbed my hand. I said, "You cut my head back open." He said, "I bled more than that out of my lip."
That's a great story because at some point you're going to tell somebody Harley Race busted me open the hard way, and they're like, "Oh, you wrestled Harley?" Like, no. Wasn't a match.
No, I say no. I ate dinner with him.
That's awesome. Let's see what we got next here. Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell asks, "I've heard you guys mention Gene doing stand-up, and I know Eddie was a pretty funny guy, and Doug has said on the show that Eddie was really good at impressions. Do you think Eddie might have tried his hand at stand-up comedy at some point once he stopped wrestling full-time?"
And my thing, and then you can ask Tommy this. I'm sure so, Gene. He was so good at impersonating and impressions, wasn't he, Tommy? Anybody.
God, hey, son, you think if you was in another room and heard him, you'd think John Wayne was in the room. I mean, he could do quite a few of them, but that John Wayne, man, of course, he loved John Wayne too. You know, he was a big fan of John Wayne. Me too. I had a bust of John Wayne. Yeah. I got scared one night. Eddie did that, and I thought, he's talking. No. Yeah.
But yeah, Gene, he was really, which you can ask Tommy, which Eddie was funny. He would do it in front of everybody. But the cool thing was he could do, like, if he sat here for 5 minutes and listened to you, Gene, he could do you. I mean, me and Tommy do just by listening to us from the past. But anybody, I mean, but the funny thing, any of the boys, I mean, it wouldn't take him but listen to an interview or something, and he would sound just like anybody, and that was cool.
And the thing, and plus, I mean, you know, any kind of door like that open, I think Eddie'd be on because he was a showman. You know, I mean, I think, if the opportunity had arose, I think Eddie would give it a shot.
Mike added to that. He put bonus question: would Buddy Landel have been good at stand-up comedy based on his quick wit and obvious sense of humor?
Would he have been good at comedy? Shit, he was good at comedy.
That's what I was thinking when I read that.
He'd have everybody in there pissed off wanting to whip him.
I think so. He did have you laughing and crying one, but Buddy was so funny and had such a Buddy had great personality. Anybody can say what they want, but as long as Buddy, I mean, and you know, people talks about all of us different ones, us being moody and everything. Well, usually if somebody was moody, there was a reason they was moody. But man, Buddy was I thought he had a great personality. I mean, he made me laugh. I'll say that. And like I said, but everybody, Gene, you said one day, because I asked you about doing something, you said, well, if they ain't wrestling fans, they wouldn't know. So, but to me, Buddy was wit and stuff was so quick and everything. And I mean, he was so over the top. I think anybody would about thought Buddy was funny. Wouldn't you, Tommy?
Well, he would have you laughing, but if he was on somebody else's tail, but if he got on you, he'd piss you off sometimes.
So,
of course, I guess
maybe like Don Rickles or something, right? It'd be one of those insult comics.
Yeah. But yeah, Buddy was real fun to be around. I mean, like Dougie said, you'll hear different stories and everything, but I always had a good time around Buddy. He was always cool with me.
And like I'd say, as far as that question, if Buddy wanted to be, he could have been. I mean,
yeah. I got you. Let's see. We got a couple more here. This person labeled themselves the Grizzled Young Vet asks, you guys both still work a lot of shows. What's the one thing that has become a norm in today's business that you wish you could completely eliminate?
Seeing the boys back there in the dressing room from the time I get there till the time till their match comes up, going back and forth over the match. I mean, hats off to them, because I was always taught you go out to if you're having a good time in that ring, then the fans are too. And if I had to remember all that stuff verbatim, back in the day, we didn't even have the adjoining. We didn't even get to talk to nobody. I mean, how would they do in today's world? I mean,
right.
That's I mean, I guess it's an art to that, because I sure couldn't do it. I probably, or they'd be booing me out.
And I guess, Gene, this is going to be, you and Tommy both might laugh at this, but one of the things she said, guys supposed to work like one of the things that has become a norm. Now, to me, this is kind of a norm, and you and Tommy might laugh about it, but every match being a title match. To me, if you got 9 matches, and I said this, you're going to laugh, Gene and Tommy. I said this to Melissa. I said, used to, you had a set of tag team champions and a heavyweight champion. I mean, and you might in big territories had a world champion, but at the most that would have been, kind of 3 titles. And I told my wife, I said, the 9 matches and 8 of them's title matches. But when you go to me, that's kind of the norm of these people these days. And I don't mean that bad. I think everywhere kind of does it, but I just think it makes the titles mean less and your champions mean less. And then I'll say this, and y'all probably really fixing to laugh about this. And also one of the things I think could be less of is the nickel and diming fans for every little thing. And I don't mean that bad. Don't get me wrong. I want every fan to be able to buy whatever gimmicks they want to buy. I'm not talking about the gimmicks and stuff, but I'm talking about, it just seems like if they're in the building, every time the announcer's saying something, it's to buy something or to, and I don't mean that negative or nothing, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, like people seem like you got to spend everything in your pocket to stay at the matches and watch a match.
Yeah, and that's going to be, there's going to be times I think that people are going to be like, man, I'd like to go to the wrestling tonight, but little old money, and I know they're going to just be hounding me all night to buy this and buy that and buy this and buy that, and I don't want to look,
right.
Think we're poor or something and not be able to get what he wants,
Right, and I think that bothers people. I mean, but it kind of, for me to even say that, I guess it kind of bothers me a little bit to see the people just push. And don't get me wrong, I want everybody to make money and everything, but I hate to just see people nickel and dime to death.
And I'll tell you something else that gets under my crawl, boys. I'll tell you right now, you go to some of these shows, that's fine if you're out there selling pictures and you got your belt on, like Dougie said, belts don't mean nothing no more. Because I mean, back then when it was NWA territories, like Dougie said, you had your tag team champions and you had your heavyweight champion, and you might have a junior heavyweight champion. But that was it. And then when that NWA title come in and he wrestled, they meant something. But in today's world, every territory's got 10, 15 belts. But what kills me is I go to some of these independent shows and you'll see them guys put their belt on the shoulder around their waist and walk around the whole show to their match with the doggone belt. Now, come on, man. Come on.
Yes, the Tri-State Intercontinental Cruiserweight Television Championship. It's very prestigious belt of the world. That's a very prestigious belt, Tommy.
And most of them in them kind of shows have bought the belt their dang self.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. A lot of those shows, they go online, they order them a belt, they show up with like, "Hey, can I defend the belt?" And the promoter's like, "Whatever, dude. If I don't have to pay you that much and just let you defend your little belt, sure, yeah. Well, do I get to keep it? Sure, okay, yeah, you can keep it. Whatever, man. Like, yeah, it's a different mentality today for sure. It's definitely a different mentality all the way around.
Well, it's because you had to go through a process back in the day before you even got in this wrestling business. In today's world, all you got to do is you and 4 or 5 of your buddies get together and rent a building. Hell, they don't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. They like one might have some wrestling gear, one might have a pair of boots, one might have a pair of tights. The rest of them's in street clothes. You know, I mean, that was the first thing I was told, man. You're going to be professional, look professional. If you can't wrestle, at least look like a wrestler. And, it's just, ain't everybody the nasty boys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, their stuff is appropriate for what they do, but, it just, have a little pride in it.
Yeah, I mean, like around here, that's how you see new promotions pop up. Is somebody doesn't like the way they're quote unquote being booked, and so they just go start their own show. It's like you said, to get the friends to go, "Hey, let's go do our own," and then we'll be the main event every week. Whatever. One last quick one right here. Jay Hendricks asks, "What's one thing about the real you that people might find surprising?" By the way, Tommy, you were great on Rob Helt's Beyond Wrestling podcast. Doug, is there any chance you'll be doing that show as well?
Well, you'd have to ask Gene about that. He's the booker for Todd, I think. Or Rob. Who is it? Rob or Todd?
Rob,
yeah. Yeah, I might do it sometime. Depends on if Gene asks me, I guess. But as far as the other question goes, I think that people might find surprising. Me, I'm a pretty normal guy. I think that I lead a pretty normal life. I love living in the country. I enjoy the outdoors, hunting, football. I love me some football now. Man, I'm a sports fan. You can ask Tommy, I'm a fanatic and everything. But yeah, I love a pretty normal life, and I love living out here in the country. Like I said, when Tommy comes up, we kick back out here and turn the music up and have us a drink or two, and have a good time.
And I don't know if I can do it 7 days a week no more like we used to do it, but I still, some people say, "Why do you still wrestle?" Well, I'm down to 240. I probably look better now than I did back in the day, Yeah. So, but I still love what I do, man. I'm so blessed to have something, have a job, job. Well, it ain't never been a job to me. I ain't never. When somebody asked me what I thought about what jobs I had or something, last job I had was when I worked at the gas station. It was still in high school, graduated, started wrestling. So that's only, I never did call that a job, and even to this day, 50 years later, I mean, still, I love to go out there and get the people to pop, or get them to, get a response out of them. And watch some of these guys do 600 moves and don't get nothing. And I go out there and walk and talk and get them to pop. So, I love that aspect of the business. I still love the wrestling fans. I'm so blessed, man, to have done this as long as I have. And there be people out there still know who Tommy Wildfire Rich is. And people want his autograph or whatever the situation may be. I mean, and back in the day, we used to, we was on the road so much, we never done fundraisers. And it's nice to be able to give that back. I'll do some fundraisers, for different things. And that, that's blessed to be able to do that, So, I just have to say, you see some guys that leave this business bitter as crap. And as far as me, I've had some good days and bad days, but probably it was my fault, like we were talking about earlier. But, it's been a hell of a ride for me, and I wouldn't take nothing for it. Wouldn't take nothing for the greatest wrestling fans of any sport or entertainment business. It's our wrestling fans that come out and support us. And, no matter what, they're always there. And especially on these independent shows in smaller towns, they still turn out. So, we're very blessed, and a big shout out and thanks to all the wrestling fans out there, because like I said a dozen times and a dozen more, but if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be none of us. And so, hey, thank y'all for all the good times, the memories, and love y'all, man.
Yeah, man, Jenny, whatever anybody, like you can tell on this show, I hope we've answered everybody's questions to the fullest, and I think we have. But if anybody's got any questions, always just shoot them to Gene. And like you can tell this week, we will get to them, and we will answer them the best we can. I think we've answered pretty well. I think me and Tommy both have a little different perspective, and Tommy will give you one answer, and I'll probably give you another one. And then Gene's liable to give you another one. But anyway, man, we sure appreciate everybody listening, sending the questions in, but keep sending the questions in, and we will keep answering them. And like I said, everybody this weekend, if you are around New Jersey, Parsippany, New Jersey, Tommy will be there tomorrow night, Saturday night. He will be there, or Saturday afternoon. What time does it start, Tommy?
10 to 3 Saturday.
10 to 3 Saturday. Tommy will be there tomorrow, Saturday. Go by and see him. And like I said, if you need anything with me and Tommy as far as appearances, wrestling, parties, signings, whatever you might need, send to Gene, and he will get with us about it. But, man, we hope everybody has had a great time listening to the show, and we will see y'all next week. Peace. Be cool.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
Many assumed that Memphis wrestling was dead when the USWA ended in September 1997. But by April 1998, a new era of professional wrestling in Memphis began. And now, the Retro Wrestling Archive is taking you back to 1998 to revisit the entire run of Power Pro Wrestling, one episode at a time. Every match, every promo, every wild Memphis moment, nothing gets skipped, nothing gets sugarcoated. If it happened on TV, you'll hear about it. Catch the Retro Wrestling Review Power Pro Wrestling podcast, live streaming every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central on YouTube and Facebook, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Don't just remember it, we live it.
Bell rings, crowd roar, 2 chairs, 1 war. Pull up a seat, turn that dial. Old scars, same smile. Doug leans in, says you remember that fire. From Memphis nights to barbed wire. Name drop legends, stories get rough. When wildfire laps, you know it's about to get tough. From studio lights with Lance and Dave to the Mid-South Coliseum like a tidal wave. Dangerous conversations, turn it up, let it hit. Doug Gilbert in the hot seat. Wildfire Tommy Rich. From Memphis to Japan, every tale, every stitch. Dangerous conversations, you don't change this. Eddie in the car, booking towns on a map. Calling shots, writing fate in a napkin scrap. Cornet heat, fans losing their minds. Blood on the mat, they drew that line. Talking promos, payoffs, planes. How the business broke hearts and blessed their name. From those wild brawls to Tokyo lights, they still swing hard in these late night dangerous fights. Conversations, turn it up, let it hit. Doug Gilbert in the hot seat. Wildfire Tommy Rich. From Memphis to Japan, every scar, every stitch. Dangerous conversations, you don't change this. War stories, road stories, same 2 voices, different glory. Pull that curtain, let it fall. If you think you've heard it all, you ain't heard it all. Dangerous conversations, turn it up, let it hit. Doug Gilbert in the hot seat. Tommy Rich. From Memphis to Japan, every truth, every myth. Dangerous conversations, you don't change this. Bell rings, fade to black. Same 2 legends talking back.